Right, hello. I thought I'd do a video more in depth on the Petasites palmatum. So I'm standing here on my little rather overgrown wildlife pond. Didn't really want to pull it about and pull all the weed out because there's a lot of newts in there. Obviously they've been laying eggs and lots of little tadpoles, so I don't want to pull anything out and harm them, so that's going to be left to its own devices. But I'll start off by showing you in deep shade underneath the gunwale. This is a little division I took early on in the spring, or mid-spring when it started to come out. So this is the plant in question. So there's a clump there that I took, and come round here. This is another division I took, which is looking quite good. They're not small leaves, they're over the size of my hand. They've got some nice, some really light yellowy spotting on the leaves. They do look quite good. So like I say, this is a division I took in spring. So you can see that's the original part, and then it's already kicked out some growth further down, so that's probably about 6 inches away. We've got some couple of new leaves coming up. So yeah, this is Petasites palmatum. So they're the divisions I took earlier in the spring from the main clump, which is up at the border here. So the ones I just show you, obviously in quite deep shade, looking quite nice. These ones have been a bit scorched by the sun, even though we haven't been getting that much sun over the last few weeks. You know, they really are sort of more of a deep shade plant. We do get a good amount of sun in this border up until about 1 o'clock, so they do take a bit of sun. I have been cutting some of the really old sort of burnt leaves off. Still kicking out new leaves, some still looking quite nice. And you see pushing out a new leaf here. So this was the original clump I planted, and then I spread a good 1.5 to 2 foot away down here as well. So I mean, if you want a space filling, it's a good choice. It's pretty easy to dig up and move. Obviously I do it in cooler, damper weather rather than height of summer. But every morning I get up and the first thing I do is get myself a coffee and walk around the garden, try to spot anything new, any changes. And this morning, looking closer, they're coming up in the lawn now as well. So we've got a little clump here, another one here, like about to open up, and here as well. So yeah, a lot of plants wouldn't be able to fight through the grass roots and push their way through, but from the border, not too far away, only a sort of hand width away from the border, and they're coming up in the lawn. So what I'll probably do with them is I'll dig them out and pot them up. And that'll be some for moving. I'll pot them up, keep them somewhere shady, and I'll move them next year somewhere else. I may well move the whole clump as yet. Like I say, they do look far better in deep shade rather than getting the sun too much. They do tend to brown off a bit after a while, the older leaves. So in general, like I say, recommended deep shade, fairly damp soil. I mean, this whole board is pretty dry to be fair, but I do tend to water when I'm doing the tree ferns. I'll do the big tree fern at the bottom there, and I'll come along this border and give everything a spray every other day, just to keep it watered when it's dry. So yeah, no special treatment. They'll die off over winter, and then spring you'll get a flower first. They send up like a flower stalk, followed shortly by the flowers, by the leaves, sorry. So yeah, so let's just go back and see that the better looking clump down here. They are a nice looking plant. I think I paid about 8 or 10 quid for a pot last year. It was midsummer when I got them last year, so you know, in that short time they basically got, obviously I showed the one on the other side there, you can't really see it through there. So we've got 2 clumps here, and we've got the main clump plus obviously all the new the growth. So yeah, I'll be digging these out shortly, maybe not today, but in a day or two when I get a chance, and pot them up. Right, so while we're talking about the Petasites, we've got the standard, I say standard, this is the variegated Petasites Japonicus. Sort of same situation again, really want to be in more shade than they're in. They did have a lot of slug and snail damage, but these are really nice plants once they get going. They've got nice variegated leaves. They are quite big. This one's not particularly big. There are bigger examples, they do get a lot bigger than this. I'd say probably 2 foot wide, 2.5 foot round, but yeah, good little plants if you get them in the right place, and if you can keep the slugs off them. But again, this batch have been spreading, so I think I put the original at the front here. So we've got original plant here, and a spread a couple of foot this way and maybe a foot this way. So again, they're good spreaders if you want to fill a gap in a couple of years with some good foliage. It's a good option. Right, so that's the Petasites or Petasites. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching.